What's up, everybody? Welcome back to On the Break, the Last Dance episodes 1 and 2 edition. It's J Mac, Josh BG, and Kyle Beats Fellas. Back again, like a day later, but nonetheless, here to talk my MJ documentary. How we doing? It's not even close. I tweeted right before the documentary started, and I said, I want to read verbatim. Well, so we'll get into it in a second, but I said, waited for The Last Dance for years. There's almost no way this thing doesn't let me down somehow, right? No, not right out of the gate. Not out of the gate. Hmm. Yeah. I I think we'll get there. We have 8 episodes left. And remember, Rodman has a documentary, a 30 for 30, on him specifically. So, like, it is fantastic. They weren't going to go down that rabbit hole too much just because there's a whole story out there, which is, like Kyle said, fantastic, incredible to watch. So that's one to go back on. But I think there's still a lot of room to open this thing up. So I guess we'll go like episode by episode, but like going into this thing. So first of all, I wanted to see what you guys think about this. So going into this thing, so I tuned into ESPN about 15 minutes before, and happened to catch this show Peyton's Place or something like that. Dude, what? Yes. So I want to read the second tweet that I fired off not long after that. I said, "What in the actual fuck is this Peyton Manning thing on ESPN? Do people actually like this shit?" Like it was like they were trying to revive the SNL skit of the Bears thing over and over and over. Dude, oh, Kyle, you almost got to go watch it. It's so bad. It's so bad. Yeah, you can't lead into the Michael Jordan Bulls documentary with this bullshit. I mean, I guess you can, but yeah, except probably look up MJ clips and whatnot, and reflect over your top 30 list, and all that. It's but I mean, like, you already know where my head's going with this. I don't even have to say this. You signed that contract like that. I mean, right? And yeah, well, it's easy to say that in hindsight. It's easy to say that in hindsight, though. Like at the time, Yeah, a little bit of all of that, I think. Yeah. Yes. But the first one really focused on Michael, I think, overall, right? Like, we didn't really get a lot of role player stuff, but, like, we got a hint of some really cool stuff. Like, I mean, some of the cameos that showed up, Barack showing up, Bill Clinton showing up was awesome. Like, that was more in the Pippin one, I think, actually, with Bill Clinton. But um, still really good. Like, it's I feel like it's setting the stage for a pretty awesome story. I love how the timeline goes back and forth and tells different parts of the story. That's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, dude, I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, but yeah. I mean, there's no reason to doubt him at that point. Is really kind of how ownership probably looked at it, even though. And again, it's easy to say, but I mean, you look at the fact they just won five straight. I mean, how do you count out a team that has Michael Jordan? Like the words rebuild and Michael Jordan are not; those are not synonyms of each other, and that's incredibly clear. He made that incredibly clear. Right? Yeah. No, but I mean, he's always been honest that way. He's never really bullshitted, and I think that was. I mean, he went kind of in some interesting places. Like whenever he told the story about the whole team doing lines and smoking weed and stuff like that, that was crazy. Right. And well, I was just gonna say, like, you don't see him open up at all about anything. Like, this is the most I've heard out of MJ ever, really. For sure. And one thing I noticed about that is like we have not come very far as interviewing players and what that feels like because it didn't feel any different than what you've seen out of anybody else on a given night. Yet. dude's taking fucking nuclear shot after nuclear shot from Michael Jordan, and like, what can you say? What can you? How do you respond to it? Sure, but the one of the things that I saw hot on Twitter immediately was a picture of Jerry Krause and then a picture of the leader of Moron Mountain in Space Jam. Like, that's going all over the place, and it's like that has some fucking truth to it. And I know I was dying when I saw that, and it's like, like this, yeah, and maybe some of this was rooted in some interesting animosity. I'm so convinced. I'm so convinced all of that's true. We're not going to go into that again, but the whole gambling thing, we'll get into that. I think we have 8 more episodes to go on this, so we'll get into it. Did you guys notice in the very beginning, whenever he's like, "I'm Michael Jordan. I played for the Bulls for these years," and he like says that I took a break for 18 months, and he kind of giggled, dude, dude. Absolutely, he knows that we know. He knows. I'm fine with it. Well, I love every second of it because yeah, it depends on how you look at it, I guess. But these man, like this is no different than anything we see all the time watching the NBA. Like as far as like how guys handle their business and all that, like all this is none of this has changed at all. No, that's a shame. That's a shame. Yeah. I love like some of the scenes where he's like sitting on the bench and like the guys are fucking around or whatever. And they just look at him and he's just fucking stone faced. It's just incredible. Yeah, yeah. It's incredible. It's incredible. And like just the thing the sheer I don't get the feeling like he's anything but kind of an honest person in that way, and he doesn't really give a fuck what a whole lot of other people thinks, and that shines through in this thing for sure. No, I I love that he had a cigar and a neat scotch right next to him the entire interview, the whole time. Absolutely incredible. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, man. I love that Patrick Ewing made a little cameo right out of the gate there too. That was pretty good. Fresh number 30 on my list. Um, no, so I love though too, like, so like as this kind of went along, like it really started to mix like some of the incredible performances, and I think that's what we got to at the very end with talking about the Celtic series against Bird and uh, dude, and you just think about the ridiculousness that is Bill Walton and just how pissed off he was that he had to guard MJ and like, and just looking back on that now, that's so great and tongue in cheek in so many ways because of Bill Walton being who he is. But I love that they're starting to highlight some of those. Just, I mean, that 63-point game was unbelievable. Really, really. Right, exactly. No, not really. And you just touched on that. Yeah, no, for sure. It's true. And like I love that they had I thought it was really unique how like even though you're talking about a team that was 22 games under 500 still making the playoffs, which is unbelievable by the way. Yeah, they that's unbelievable. And they just like he basically willed those teams. I mean, you happened to go up against that Celtics teams that had won 67 games in the regular season. Like that team was incredible. Uh, it was still an incredible performance and just not one that's even talked about in the pantheon of his career as much as it should be. You think? And that he played golf. And I mean, playing golf with Danny Ainge the day before. I mean, what the hell? You were asking for that. Me too. Unbelievable. How crazy is it that he was one of 12? So there were two paralyzed people in an actual family of 14 people. Now, number one, if you have 12 siblings, you're asking for those kinds of odds because I mean, come on, it's a lot of people. But that's crazy that I mean, he was able to separate himself like that. I guess. Yeah, you mentioned that. He's always been a little flashy guy, a little bit. The earring is nice, you know. No, I like it. What? That's interesting. That's, yeah, it's the media. Yeah, it's the swagger, man. But it's the swagger backed up with hard work. It was so unique. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. What do you mean didn't hold up well? What are you saying? The Hell yeah. So, but the long coat with the tails was such an unbelievable look. It really was. But so we're not there yet, but we're gonna get into jean shorts and everything like that that are just unreal coming up. So we've got time to get there. Yeah. Well, that too. Um, I mean, it's summertime. It's almost summertime. Jean shorts are coming out. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the fact that they had the foresight to give them unauthorized or like unrestricted access to the entire season, knowing how big of a deal that is going to be, was brilliant. And to wind that back later on is and doing it in this way is one of the better production things. And I don't give ESPN credit for a lot, but this is one of the production things that is really impressive so far. They've always been really good with the 30 for 30s. That was one of Bill Simmons' best ideas for sure when he was there. And they've always done a really good job because they've actually put the time and the money and the resources into them and found directors that are really passionate about it. And the fact that they just knew, like, this footage is going to be valuable one day. We haven't seen a lot of this is insane. And it's Chris. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say it's crystal clear. It's they've obviously retouched it and all that, but they've sat on it for years. Yeah. 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 Yep. Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I will say I don't like the State Farm commercial that wound into kind of sitting at the news desk talking about the 30 for 30, about the Last Dance, saying that, yeah, but then it just ended up being a State Farm commercial. Get the hell out of here with that. I don't like that. It's not good. Um, but yeah, man, like I was pleasantly surprised by the presentation overall of it, and I think we're in for some good stuff coming up. I really do. I do, but I think this is a good way to digest it. I think we need to let it breathe for it's every other every 2 weeks right now, something like that. Is it next week? Two every Sunday. Okay, all right. I didn't know if they put a week in between. For sure, I was too, but I think I was about at my limit of. I mean, Kyle, you and I have talked about this ad nauseum. I don't like things that are too long, and that definitely was about my mark. Was I think 2 hours of sitting time. I think it's the right amount of time. I think, and just gives me time to kind of digest what all I heard. Like you can kind of go through and listen to like what all the analysis is on all the shows throughout the week and kind of have a good mind going into it. I guess. So yeah, yeah, it's an endorsement. That's for sure. Yeah, no, I think that makes a difference too. And like, whenever they were showing the footage of the ring ceremony at the beginning, whenever they introduced everybody in, which I love that, of course Jerry Krause had the lowest, like they went into talking about how he wanted all the credit, and then it was just like a absolute crickets fest. Yeah, with 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 Daffy Duck, it was almost exactly like it. Yes, yeah, just absolute crickets. And but I remember watching that ring ceremony, and I literally got chills down my spine, remembering how, like, vividly remembering watching that. And I was probably fourth grade, something like that. It's crazy. But yeah, man. This Josh, what else did you have on it, or what else impressed you the most, or what didn't you expect? I should say. Just carrying all those trophies through there, it's unbelievable. No, no, yeah, it's pretty close. It's pretty damn close for sure. Yeah, I think that was eye opening too in a lot of ways, though, right? Like, yeah, I that's nuts. That's nuts. Yeah, He's got to be. I mean, he's got to be. That's true. Does the award to best aged go to Steve Kerr? Because he doesn't look any older than he did back then. Yeah, yeah. I don't know how that's possible, but maybe some aging regimen. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, the sample size now is bigger, right? We've talked about how like the league is on a much more even playing field as far as small market and large market teams than it's ever been. It's easier to be a fan of a team elsewhere. Like people weren't going to know in the '80s who someone like Terry Rozier was. Like that's just not something like that. How could that be on your radar? There's no way it could have been on your radar because like your media source. You're relying on reading a sports column to for your sports takes. There really are no sports takes at this point in time. Yeah, probably more than likely. If it's not LeBron, who else is it? I mean, Julius Randle. No, no. Hmm. A little bit. That's ridiculous. We don't know. Yeah. LeBron needs to start gambling. See, that's the LeBron I want to see now. I want to. the wine thing isn't going to do it. It needs to be bigger than that. Yeah, no, that's a really good point though. Like, is it going to be impossible for that larger than life person? I would think that it would. I don't think that's possible anymore. I really don't. That sucks. That electric. What do you think that Jordan thinks of load management? It's true. It's a good point. Just body him. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's ridiculous. True. Yeah, not a lot of flopping going on. Yeah, right. That fucking scene whenever Jordan hit his head on the backboard looked painful, didn't it? Unbelievable. That's not something that normal humans can do. Not at all. All right. Yeah, no big deal. Yeah, you gotta get up there with the towel and get the head print off. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Didn't that was another Jerry Krause burn that I loved was whenever he said that they were gonna have to lower the rim for him. That was fucking incredible. From the back of the bus. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I love that the Bulls were not even remotely concerned with his safety in any way, shape, or form. They were, yeah. Well, we see it all the time, and I mean, they were just lucky to have a transcendent superstar. And I mean, we've seen it since. Like the Bulls have never really been good since this. Well, you know what I'm saying though. Like that era, the Bulls have just never really been that good, other than during this era of time. Like they haven't been relevant in our time, and I mean, the Thibodeau years, I guess. Yeah, but that team wasn't really good. That team wasn't going to compete for a championship at that point in time. I never viewed them as that. Yeah, That's what I'm saying. Like, it's more of a credit to LeBron that, like, other than, I mean, they just haven't really been that successful in that way. I mean, so an impressive one at that, but still unbelievable. Yeah, 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 for sure. Well, you don't you don't typically have a bunch of guys coming up on a contract all at one time like that. That's not typically how it ends up working out. Yes. Okay. All right. No, we're not going into that because he didn't play for like 8 games and then decided to go out and play like 20 plus minutes. Come on. Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. Yeah, that's one disgruntled player that just got traded. One disgruntled player that just got traded. I'm not really taking that as fact. Same, same. That's 100% where my head's at. I've seen the clips. I know all about that, but I want to see. I want to see the shit we haven't seen before. I mean, this is the last. Right, and I mean, this is the last like Kobe footage we have. Like, there's a lot of stuff like that in here that we haven't seen yet that I'm looking forward to. When do you think we get to some of that? Do you think that's got to be later on, right? Yeah, yeah. I mean, Magic. Josh brought this up a minute ago, but Magic was just at a loss for words, really, about Jordan just in general, and that's absolutely impressive. So I'm looking forward to more of that. Well, we're gonna do more of these. We'll do one after each episode. So next Sunday night we'll get done with 3 and 4. We'll drop another one. We'll talk. We'll do it live here on Facebook and YouTube as well, but we'll drop it on our podcast stream as well. So we'll be reviewing them, looking for more stuff to come along the way. But it'll be interesting to see what the fallout looks like this week. I mean, there's been a lot of anticipation. I can't wait to see what people think about it. Any other thoughts, fellas? All right, let's get out of here. We'll see everybody next week.